go!
My brother and I played tons of Nagano Winter Olympics when we were growing up, and we thought that game was fucking awesome. And then a few years ago, I learned that game's considered to be quite terrible. What the fuck? Did anyone else love Enter the Matrix when they were a kid? I thought the gameplay was fun. The way they integrated the movies into the game was pretty cool. The animations were schmick, especially your main characters backing up like trucks. Turns out Enter the Matrix is very bad though. I didn't remember how poorly this game controls, and the characters moving around these confined spaces like fucking race cars. Driver 3 will get us back on track. Now, these cars actually control really well. Let's see how these on-foot sections control. Oh god, no. Oh my god. There's got to be some games with shitty reputations out there that deserve a second chance. Oh, it's Driveclub.
We trademarked the name Driveclub 9 years ago. You can check it online. And it's
not lying. It's okay. I believe you, dude.
About driving the
Go check it. Go check it.
I think Driveclub was starting from behind right out of the gate with this weird presentation.
That means driving in a team. Driveclub.
Huh? You sons of bitches! Team driving! Team! Drive club!
And then the game came out and the online was balked and everyone was really underwhelmed. And the weird menu layout and the promised PlayStation Plus version that came out months after the full game did, and then it came down like 3 months later. And the whole thing was on fire, and Driveclub's legacy as a super duper underwhelming disaster of a video game was secured. But here's the thing, Driveclub is totally okay. I don't think it's a great game, but it's a very long way from being bad. All these years later, it still looks fucking astonishing. The weather effects in this game are beautiful, and this guy really wasn't lying when he was talking about the highly detailed car models.
Oh, look at that. That's nice and shiny.
The locations are great. Nice, big, wide open vistas, spectacular landscapes, progressing times of day and weather, meaning the track can look completely different when you finish a race from when you started it. It's also impressive the way Sony has continued to support Driveclub over the years. If you like racing games that look really pretty and you're willing to get used to the handling model, it's not going to change your life or anything, but it'll make you look at the water on the windscreen and go, oh, look at it moving. That's nice, that is. Max Payne 3 is actually fucking awesome. But when it was released, man, there was some backlash, especially from fans of the first two games. Why isn't Max in New York this time? Where did his hair go? Why is he fat? For starters, you do get to spend time in New York in this game, in a pretty awesome flashback segment complete with Max's jacket and bad tie.
Oh my God.
Also, he has hair for a lot of the time in this game, and the transition from business shirts and wavy locks to a shaved head, Hawaiian shirts and singlets is a pretty great representation of Max's journey into the dark, twisty corners of Brazil and himself.
It's a metaphor.
And I don't think Max looks fat in this game. I think he looks like a dude that used to have a lot of muscle and has spent the last 10 years drinking more whiskey than water, inhaling more pain pills than oxygen because he's been shot, I don't know, like 1 trillion fucking times, and continues to struggle with the loss of his family. And maybe it says some pretty dark shit about me, but the extent to which Max is a broken dude here is super compelling. And his progress through this adventure from giving zero shits about anyone or anything to regaining just a tiny bit of himself by the time he stands at the finish line is properly cathartic. And for me at least, felt pretty fitting for a character that went through 3 games dealing with some serious shit.
I've seen some shit, man. I kid you not, I have seen some shit.
This is all story stuff. I haven't even touched on how well this game plays. The shooting is satisfying and fucking brutal. You can't help but feel bad for some of these guys. In terms of the gameplay, I think the physics are actually the real star of the show. Max has real weight this time around, meaning that all the slow motion shooting and dodging feels better than ever. You've also got way more options at your disposal, with Max able to shoot from just about any position. The new physics mean you can also look like an absolute numpty at times, but I think this kind of just adds to that idea that Max is tired and too old for this shit. When he lands in this game, he lands real heavy. This gameplay is also tied together with a really neat challenge system that gives you great reasons to experiment with different ways to mess dudes up. I don't know, I guess I understand massive fans of the series being annoyed that this looks and feels different to the previous 2 games, but I also get the feeling that if we'd just gotten more of the same, we probably would have had just as many, if not more people complaining that it was too similar.
That's whinging.
I'm really happy they took some bold chances with Max Payne 3 because this is one of my favorite action games of all time. Angry, alcohol, alcoholic, pill-popping, dry wit Max will always be one of my favorite characters. If you like action games and you haven't given Max Payne 3 a chance, please play this.
Damn! That shit good!
You know, these Red Dead Redemption games have gotten a lot of good press for being amazing westerns with beautiful visuals and captivating stories, richly detailed characters, incredibly immersive worlds. Well, that's all bullshit, because there was a western doing all of this years before.
Well, sorta kinda.
Gun is really fun, and its reputation sucks, so I'm gonna stick up for it.
That is a very, very bad idea.
It's the first western I can remember ever playing, and this thing has every cliche in the book. Damsels in distress, trouble with the natives. This part of the game is really not held up well. Yikes. Stagecoaches to escort, ne'er-do-wells to duel, gold to mine, and poker games to play, and you can cheat. And tons of vicious headshots to pop off. Oh my god, this game is so fucking violent.
Stop, think of the children.
This incredibly violent combat is pretty fun. There's a good variety of weapons to use, and there's even a Red Dead style quick draw mechanic for taking out a bunch of bad guys quickly. The story's really silly, but I like it.
I'm an idiot.
There's a good little mystery at the center and some cool moments to keep you on your toes.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I ain't your father. Now, go.
A few moments later.
That's crazy.
I also like our main character, Colton. I mean, he doesn't even care when he's got a bunch of flaming arrows sticking out of him. His horse don't give a fuck either.
That's the sound of horse.
This game controls pretty well. I will say the way that characters slide to a stop at first seemed really weird to me. And then I remembered that this game was developed by Neversoft, the Tony Hawk people, and then it all starts to make sense.
Nice!
The open world is really small, but it's packed with lots of side missions. Gun is messy and it has problems, but it's full of heart. Also, because this is a secret Tony Hawk game, you can use your horse to manual enemies to death.
Nice.
I think it's fair to say that generally speaking, the XCOM strategy game reboots were pretty popular and successful. And this XCOM game was shat upon by just about everyone. This game's okay. It's basically a knockoff Mass Effect, except instead of being a spaceman fighting aliens, you're a Earthman fighting aliens. I like the 50s vibe, I like this guy's hat, love these abandoned towns draped in Americana. The settings you visit in the Bureau are really great, especially the main base where you can roll around and have a chat with your 1950s Men in Black crew, all of whom have unique personalities and background files lying around that you can pick up and read to flesh out their backstory. I thought this guy was pretty cool and we were getting on really well. Then I read his file. It turns out he's a bit of a psycho. We didn't hang out much after that.
We can't be friends anymore.
The story is pretty twisty and dark, has some good shocking moments. The opening in particular I think is really great and does a good job of establishing this game's spooky 1950s aliens atmosphere. The shooting is what I would call serviceable.
It's fine.
And your squad commands and powers are a good time. The thing that surprised me the most about the Bureau though is it's got a really cool little personality. The 1950s conspiracy vibes are right up my alley. The characters are surprisingly memorable, and I got really attached to our main agent Carter. He's my favorite kind of damaged, hard-nosed, alcoholic, got nothing left to lose, take no shit agency man in a fedora.
Sounds like fun.
And sometimes if you squint hard enough, it's like Cole Phelps from L.A. Noire is running around in Control, and my god, that's the crossover the world needs. I know this is no masterpiece, but why are we so mean to this game? If you're desperate for some third-person action, maybe you just want to play Men in Black in the 50s. Check this out.
Check it out. Check it out.
Check it out.
People have slowly realized over time that Mad Max is actually a pretty cool game.
It's about time.
But I'm throwing it in here anyway because god damn it, do I love this, and it's not just because of the Aussie accents.
His was a never-ending journey away from the phantoms of his past.
Right. What did he say?
Said as his age, huh? He only shot him down because he couldn't see the view no more. What's he on about?
What did he say?
That's Australia. It's where I live. If you like open world collectathons, this game is for you. Batman Arkham style combat, but with the crunch factor turned up to, you broke my nose. Upgrading your main character into a bad motherfucker over the course of the journey. Max looked like this at the start of my game, and by the end he looked like that. The process of upgrading your car from what is essentially a bed frame on wheels to a fully decked out beast by the end of the game is super satisfying.
I'm giving this car technological superpowers by filling the trunk with a gaming system. I'm talking about monitors, speakers, and an Xbox 360.
And it helps that these vehicles slide and bop their way over the dusty Aussie wasteland in a way that's loose but controllable, making vehicle combat really fun, and it does a pretty good job at evoking the wild spirit of the Mad Max movies. Also, this chum bucket, I love this little weirdo. Your faithful companion throughout, he's a little too in love with engines and cars.
What the fuck?
But he's a hell of a mechanic, and he provides good little tidbits of story and background on the world as you move through it. Max's personal journey is pretty compelling. And yes, while they lean on the angry, broken, silent stereotype pretty hard, I think both the dialogue and his voice acting give Max enough pathos to make you feel for the guy, and hope that he's able to find some solace in the open desert, or in punching lots and lots of people in the face.
You want me to hit you? That's right.
The visuals help tie all of this together. Max travels through achingly beautiful scenery. There's something about the fire in this game as well that looks so fucking good, which is important when you're constantly exploding everything. This game is just really fun and satisfying. The combat is meaty, the world is full of bases to take over.
It's good to have land.
Little cool locations to discover, scarecrows to knock down, an interesting story and character progression to move through, dog food to eat.
So good and tasty.
Sandstorms to endure, and did I mention it's set in Australia? That's my house right there. I love the Prince of Persia games, particularly the Sands of Time, although I can get down with Warrior Within. This shit is edgy, bro.
You bitch! Shit, boy.
The Forgotten Sands is a bit of a weird one. Its release was sort of timed with the Jake Gyllenhaal Prince of Persia film, and unfortunately that meant it got dismissed as a cheap movie tie-in at the time, and that sucks because I think this game's pretty cool. It's no masterpiece, but it does a great job of evoking the old Prince of Persia games. The opening section in particular at times looks like a shot-for-shot remake of the Sands of Time.
I start to see things I recognize.
You've got massive clockwork puzzle platformy style rooms, traps to dodge, walls to run across, up, slide down, gymnastics to perform, and also some new powers to play with. The story isn't going to win any awards, but I like the prince and the dynamic he has with his brother.
What are you doing? I'm burying you. I'm alive! I'm alive! You're waking the neighbors!
The only bad thing I really have to say about the Forgotten Sands is it's probably a little too heavy on the combat. The swordplay isn't bad by any means. There's some cool maneuvers and some signature moves that again evoke the old games. However, it's pretty basic and there's a lot of it. Too much. Overall though, the Forgotten Sands is a bit of a hidden gem in my book. If you're a fan of the Sands of Time or just third-person platformers, this is definitely worth a look.
But I know you want more.
Everything's just pretty different to the other Far Cry games, which meant when it came out, everyone was like,
That is crazy.
which is weird because when the fourth game came out, I feel like a lot of people said it was too similar to 3. So I would have thought something different would have been welcome.
Nope.
People were annoyed that they repurposed the map from Far Cry 4 for this game, but
I don't care. His mom doesn't care.
I mean, this world is totally unrecognizable from anything else in the series. And while we get Far Cry staples like crafting and hunting, taking over enemy encampments, everything else is wildly different. I think the prehistoric setting is actually an amazing choice for the series. And I really don't miss the guns because the combat in Primal is awesome. Bow and arrow headshots are ridiculously satisfying. Spears are horrifyingly effective. And you can sick your posse of tame beasts onto enemies as well. Oh yeah, you can tame animals in this game and roll around with them, meaning that there's a lot of first-person petting.
That's adorable.
There's stunning lighting and some really fantastic facial animations that help immensely with the storytelling. It's so satisfying to see your population growing over time and your encampment evolving and changing. It's pretty ironic that in a series that is always getting criticized for being the same thing over and over and over again, the most unique game gets the least amount of love. Far Cry Primal rocks. If you like Far Cry games but you never gave this one a go because you heard bad things,
Just try it.
remember Saints Row?
Big, giant, sweaty, dangling horse testy just
Oh
swinging
god,
in the
not that one.
What the actual goddamn motherfucking goddamn fuck?
No, these ones. People really like these games. Saints Row the 3rd in particular is pretty amazing in a batshit insane kind of way. Then Volition followed up the 4th Saints Row game with Agents of Mayhem and everyone went, oh.
What'd you do?
But this game's okay. It looks nice. The explosions are actually really great. The weapon variety is nifty as well. And being able to seamlessly swap between the different agents for different abilities and different weapons feels pretty unique for this open world style of game. Though man, this story is bland as hell.
There's no salt in there. There's not even an ounce of salt in there.
It's very typical. This bad guy is evil. We're the only ones that can stop him. Blah, blah, blah. This Hollywood guy sucks. I know he's kind of meant to suck, but none of his jokes land. So we actually have something in common.
I suck.
The biggest crime this game commits though is that this open world just feels very empty. The streets are a little too clean and underpopulated. It never rises above being more than a video game backdrop. But overall this game is pretty fun. Everything you do in Agents of Mayhem feels really good. Just don't expect the world or the story to knock your socks off, and this one's just fine.
I mean, it's alright.
Look, someone has to stick up for Prototype. There was this really weird Infamous versus Prototype thing going on when this game came out. I guess because both games have an angry man with powers in an open world. And I guess because Infamous ended up being really good and Prototype ended up being only kinda good, we all decided that Prototype was rubbish.
We made this one up.
Enough is enough. Don't get me wrong, Prototype has a lot of problems. The script is pretty bad.
You think you're ready?
I was made for this. Cliché.
The visuals can be a bit grimy at times, and the controls is a bit finicky. But what you've got here is a really dumb, fun, insanely violent open world game that basically takes X-Men Origins Wolverine and Hulk Ultimate Destruction and smushes them together.
Oh God, it's so good.
Meaning that you can run up the side of a skyscraper, throw a taxi at a helicopter, or gobbling up civilians so you can perform the most violent version of identity theft the world has ever seen.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
And you'll be doing a lot of that as you run around this massive New York. This is a big map with heaps of side activities, collectibles. To me, Prototype is the absolute definition of a B game.
Maybe this time.
It's a totally serviceable action game that isn't going to win any awards, but you'll have some fun with it, finish it up, and move on and go, well, it's okay. Yes, Infamous is better, but who cares?
Do any of you care?
I don't know how many of you remember DeathSpank, but it was a little isometric action RPG with a focus on humor, which is really fucking hard to pull off in games. There's not many that have done it successfully. Tales from the Borderlands is still the gold standard for me.
No! No, Sasha! I won't let you go! You have to trust me! I'll get us out of this!
It's okay,
Sasha!
Reese.
Sasha! No!
Wow, we are really close to the ground, aren't we?
And I never played DeathSpank when it first came out because the overwhelming consensus at the time was that it was real stinky. Apparently this game was not fun and not funny. I gave this a go the other day and I thought this is pretty good stuff.
Do you need any downtrodden dead hero dead?
Our titular hero DeathSpank is an idiot in the vein of characters like Zap Brannigan.
That's whatever you were talking about for you.
Bumbling his way through quests with zero regard for any of the people he interacts with. This makes for some pretty funny dialogue, like having to find a villager's wallet that was stolen by malicious plants.
We're just here to use the bathroom.
Or get 10 chicken lips for the local witch.
I have your lips, demon witch.
It's all extremely silly stuff, but underneath that silliness is actually a pretty decent action RPG. With perks to unlock, skills to level up, lots of loot to find and equip, and a decently sized world to uncover.
But I'm not done yet!
The combat is simple, but it's satisfying enough. It's a pretty good time when you find yourself in a crowd of vicious chickens. Enjoying DeathSpank really comes down to if you think this writing is charming or completely unbearable, so fair warning. For me though, it's a surprisingly enjoyable and funny little romp with some good writing, a cool little art style, and some wisdom to be gained.
Tell me more of your philosophy and worldview. I never thought of butter that way before.
I'm not saying all the games I've talked about today are equivalent. I like Max Payne 3 a hell of a lot more than I like Agents of Mayhem. I just think all these games are better than the reputations that precede them. And if you think some of these games are actually just straight up bad, that's cool. Maybe you think Max Payne 3 sucks, or hey, maybe there's another game with a bad reputation that you love that I didn't talk about. Let me know below. One of the things that makes video games so interesting and awesome is that different people love different things. And there's a game out there for everyone regardless of reputation. But man, video games are cool. I like them. I hope you do too. If you've made it this far into the video and you don't, that's a bit weird. But that's okay. Maybe you're just like me. Anyway, here's to games. Keep enjoying them. Let me know some of your favorites below. And I think it's time for a montage. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. If there's any topics or games you'd like me to cover, please let me know below. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps. And if you've got a moment, you can check out this video right here. I think you'll enjoy it. My name's Sam. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.